on the ketchup TV, yeah, you can pretty much go check it out.
So I just thought
I have this idea of ketchup as the spiciest, and so
I'm like, is this sriracha ketchup or?
Subscribe to Dr. Heinz on YouTube at Dr. Heinz Official. Is that right? That's correct. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I can pass on your way. If I haven't said it already. Thank you. You gotta go have a lot of ketchup commercials.
yeah.
I promise you have never heard that before.
Someone actually called me Ketchup Man. And all I did was laugh at it, and everyone was like, you should actually call yourself Ketchup Man like a superhero.
No, you don't become Dr. Ketchup. Dr. Ketchup. Perfect. Dr. Heinz, they call it Dr. Ketchup. I'm going to steal that.
Thank you so much, Eric Hunley. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing, Eric? Thank you.
All right, how are you doing, my friend?
I am doing good. Last time we were here, we discussed a lot. We discussed a lot, like and I, like I said back then, like, you know, you created such an environment for me to like express myself in that interview, which led to us discussing psychosis, and yeah, and we are back.
How's that going?
It happened again. It happened again, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah.
What happened?
No, it was this time. It was more from re-traumatization. So it wasn't. It was from the same substance that was used before, but somebody had I call it the audacity to dig up things that they shouldn't have dug up in my past, and I did not react to that really, really well. But this is not. But we don't have to talk about it today.
Okay.
For this stream, because I'm still in recovery from that. So, but I wanted to really highlight that, because that was the first time where I had the courage to, like, you know, discuss it, and that was all credit to you, because I would still say you are an amazing person to speak to, and I really do want to know. I really do want to know, how did you come up with the idea of Unstructured?
I came up with that because I wanted to be like the cool kids and talk to interesting people. It actually spawned out of a show called Mixed Mental Arts, previously named The Brian Callen Show. And one of the co-hosts was a guy named Hunter Motz. And Hunter Motz, I learned of him because of Sam Harris on Joe Rogan. Sam Harris was complaining about this guy, Hunter Motz, and how annoying and terrible he was. In fairness, I think Sam Harris is kind of a smug prick. And so that sort of made me go, who's this guy complaining about? And I went and checked out the episode with Hunter Motz, learned about the show Mixed Mental Arts. On that show, it was a podcast. They interview a lot of really fascinating people, all the way from Jordan Peterson to different authors that I've read, like Jonathan Haidt and folks like that. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. You know, they're talking to these really important authors who have fascinating social deals. And I joined the Facebook community, which had other fans and things like that. But one thing that kind of happens with some of these communities is they become a bit of an intellectual dick measuring contest. Excuse my language. But I sort of did. And I thought I had always wanted to do a podcast. And I thought, well, I would like to talk to these people, but, like as sort of an everyman, somebody who would just talk, hopefully learn. I'm not trying to compete with my guests. They're the experts. I'm here to learn, enjoy, and share a message with the crowd. And my concept was to have a conversational show. And I almost named it Idea Pub. Oh. Because I love the idea of meeting with somebody who's kind of a stranger. I don't know them. And I said, so what do you do? Oh, I'm an FBI agent. Oh, really? How does that work? Or such and such happened in their life. Well, please tell me about that. And in not a structured interview, but unstructured, and I called the podcast Unstructured, we would just chat, and the audience I envisioned as being like other people in the pub who were just kind of like listening in at the next table.
Because names have a lot of meaning behind them. And you kind of have to be careful. Like for example, my name is Heinz. It means young ruler. I would never go for that name if it meant something like a debauchery person, or someone akin to Hitler, for example. I would not go. You know what I'm trying to say? So
you wouldn't call yourself the Young Turks?
I would not.
I don't know. It just seemed like a proper example that you would have an Armenian host on a show called the Young Turks. And in history, the Young Turks are the ones who killed a bunch of Armenians. Is that what you're saying?
Not to put words in my mouth, but you are not wrong either. Okay, so no shade, by the way. No shade, by the way, to me.
It's just an observation.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, you have 4 channels, which is Layback Law.
It might be 5 now, but go on.
5. Okay. What's the 5th channel? What's the 5th?
Okay, well, my most recent channel is Proven Conspiracies. Wow. I started it in August, and it's taken off. It's doing really well. I hope people consider checking it out. I'm very proud of the work we are doing there. It's essentially every episode is 10 to 15 minutes. A couple might be a couple minutes more, but the sweet spot, 10 to 15 minutes long, and it covers all kinds of things like MK Ultra, which is a factual thing that the CIA did. And it covers them in a more palatable or bite-sized fashion. But I go beyond that too. I don't know if you knew that the big tobacco companies bought all the food companies here in America and used their knowledge to help people become addicted, and that's contributing to the obesity epidemic or the sugar industry. So it's conspiracies, not only government, but also, like the food industry or the Phoebus cartel, which is a cabal 100 years old now of light bulb manufacturers who conspired to make sure that their light bulbs all expired within 1,000 hours. So they wouldn't last too long and people had to buy more. That led into things like Apple iPhones now, with the battery being turned down, et cetera, as it goes down. So then people have to upgrade their iPhone, and it's something called planned obsolescence. So there's a lot going on in that channel, and I've had a lot of fun with that, with doing research and putting together videos with my friend and editor, James Esparza, who's a master.
Yeah. I cannot imagine you running 5 channels. By the way, this is a channel already at 10,000 subscribers. Wow. Proven Conspiracies.
It's doing really well. Yeah, hit the subscribe button there, man.
Yeah. Say less. Let me do that right now. Say less. Of course, I'm not hitting the subscribe button. What are you talking about here? What are you talking about? No, but how come you have so many? How do you get the energy to run 5, let alone 1 channel? I mean, I am out of breath just running 2 channels, and that's the unintentional juror and the main Heinz channel, and I am already out of breath. How do you run 4, 5 now? So you have proven conspiracies. You have American Conspiracy Stories. You have Laid Back Law. You have the show with I don't think it's called The Show, but I'm gonna go with it anyway. The show with Nate the lawyer, and both of them,
right.
Eric and Nate.
We haven't really done any. We've only done 1 episode with what was formerly Nate and Eric, because he's been too bogged down, and I'm doing too many other channels. So really, you can almost say that I'm still at 4. I just shifted energy. It is. I've stepped back from Eric Hunley a little bit while I've been ramping up Proven Conspiracies. I still will be doing interviews. Like I incorporated, and that's how some of it I'm doing. Like I did the McDonald's Monopoly scam. I don't know if you're familiar with that. They did a series on it on HBO called McMillions. But essentially, the McDonald's Monopoly game that ran from 87 to 2001, it's back again, but that initial game was a scam where the guy in charge of security and the tickets was giving out making deals with people, giving out the large scale $1 million winners and stuff to other people. It was all scam, whole thing. And so for that particular episode, I covered it, but I also on Eric Hunley interviewed Chris Graham, who was the FBI squad leader in charge of the investigation that put the guys away. So then I could take a little bit from my interview, put that into the other video on Proven Conspiracies, the same way that I did one on Operation X about CIA and drugs. And I put clips from my Mike Levine interview, who was a DEA agent, world famous, to help propel the story and to give some color that wasn't already there.
What did you make of Richard Gadd's declaration then? Because
which one?
Oh wow! How many declarations were there? Because I only read one.
Well, his whole bit is, this is my truth, which just pisses me off. F your truth. I mean, it's like, don't give me this, my truth, no, dude, she's convicted or she's not. So he had, as much as admitted she was never convicted, he just said that she did all this. Well, okay. I didn't dispute that. I'm sure she did. And it wasn't nice. I wouldn't want to be hanging out. Again, that'd be very uncomfortable. That would suck. I'm sorry for you. But you wrote something that is factually, completely, utterly false. I don't get it. Why do you want to do that? Everything else, I'm fine. Okay, you can say stalk me, harass me. You literally said she was a convicted felon. Literally.
Okay. So, it's good to know that your opinions has not changed. Has not changed at all. I mean, I personally buy into what Richard Gadd is saying, because I do understand that in terms of movie making, because there were other allegations in there that you can argue, well, is it true or not, in regards to Naba Mao's character, the trans person, because there was the fight scene that even Fiona Harvey is not disputing. So was she a convicted felon? Yes or no? Yeah, but that's not the only thing going though.
No. But that's my big. I look, if you say something, you say it. You take the conviction off, and now we've got a pretty clear script. But when you lie, and you come up with something that is utterly, completely provably false, well, then now I have to question everything you said. Because you make a very specific thing. You don't just say, she's a stalker. Okay, she's a stalker. I'm here. I'm with you. Oh, my God. I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. She's a convicted stalker who served time. They're not the same thing. There is no judgment. This is searchable, reasonable stuff. These are criminal records. These are actual things. It's facts. And as soon as you throw in a fact like that, then I have to question everything you say, every single thing. Do I think she sucked her? Probably. I believe Laura Ray a whole lot more than Richard Gadd, by the way. Richard Gadd is a pretty sketchy dude. Laura Ray comes across as a real victim. Well, actually, he's a victim too, but Laura Ray seems like, she really had it bad. Her answering machine was filled up every morning, 100% believable. And you know what was cool about Laura Ray too? Every time Piers Morgan went to, exaggerate, she would always tone it back and say, no, I didn't feel physically threatened, or no, it's just, she always went down in the charge. Okay. Versus Gadd, who is exaggerating the charge. That's irritating. And there are a lot of people, say Johnny Depp and others, who are accused of a lot of things. And when you embellish to such a degree, then I'm sorry, I don't trust everything you say. Do I think it happened? Yes. Do I think he asked for some of it? Actually, yes.
That's harsh. Okay, what do you mean?
Well, he said it. He's literally said it. He even represented himself doing things to himself or self-pleasuring while stalking her. So in his own series, if you really look at it, not necessarily a nice dude. Oh, yeah, that's normal. That's perfectly normal behavior. Or what about all the coworkers that say, yeah, this guy taunted her and he's like, hey, baby. And it sat there leading her on and it was mocking her and laughing at her on the side. Now, did that justify her going completely bonkers and she did that with other people? No. But does he share a little bit of responsibility? Yeah.
We are moving into a new age. Just to move this along, we are moving into a new age in which AI is now taking over. Like ChatGPT, and now I think Twitter has Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it,
Grok.
So why in your video you made a video called "Never Fear AI"? I want to know, what do you mean by? I mean, I haven't watched it yet, so you kind of have to you kind of have to hold my hand here and walk me down. Why do you say we should never fear AI?
I think that AI is changing the world in a lot of ways, and it is incredibly important. Personally, now, number one, I was interviewing a guest, and that was my guest's stance.
Okay.
So keep that in mind. My guest is a software programmer, and he sees a lot of promises of AI being BS and not thoroughly there, and is pointing out that he doesn't feel that AI is going to replace everybody. And I think he's partially right, partially wrong. There's just factors in whatever you do. I'm a guy that, proven conspiracies, I leverage AI very heavily in what I do with that for research, writing, drafting, pulling images and B-roll footage and things like that.
I'm tweeting as well. I've seen your tweets.
But no, I'm just saying that there are many, many, many specific things that are absolutely human, and AI ain't going to do it. It's not going to be able to do that. Like, is AI going to fix the pipe when it blows at your house?
No. And I'm guessing
what about your car? I'm just saying a lot of what AI, which is large learning models and things like that, if you will, machine learning, a lot of what it is taking over is what I would like to call a lot of bullshit jobs anyway. And by that, I mean, how many things in the corporate world, I've worked in the corporate world, are just I don't know, it's like twiddling your thumbs, just mind-numbing BS. Like, generate this report because we got to make sure that our numbers on the quarter are such and such and blah, 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 blah. And everybody's, swinging around. Well, AI covers a lot of that kind of stuff. It's also very good for crunching massive amounts of text and things like that, which can assist people. But it's not necessarily going to, for example, in the legal field, is AI is already showing some influence in there, right? But is AI going to stand up next to the defendant and say, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my client, blah, blah, blah. Is it going to do that? Is AI going to clean your house? Is AI going to... There's so many things, and I feel that AI is incredibly powerful, incredibly important. It is so important, I analogize it to the internet in the late 90s.
So you think it's like the same kind of fear that...
yes.
What was it called? Y2K? Y2K panic?
Yeah, but no. I mean, the fear of the internet, period. A lot of people, feared what would happen with the internet as a wild, wild west. But the bottom line is it's here. It's in our lives. And we see what's happened with the internet. Some of it, much of it very good, much of it very bad. But it's something we've just had to adapt to. And over time. So, the internet, that was a major game-changing thing, right? It changed the whole world on its back. The next thing that did that, in my opinion, is the iPhone. And by the iPhone, I'm also including Android because the iPhone led into Android existing. So all of these things roll in together. So smartphone, if you will. What has that done? Well, that has actually taken the internet, which was a promise of something, right? Mm-hmm. And it put it in damn near everybody's hand. And I mean damn near everybody's hand. Because there are a lot of people who cannot afford a computer in our world, but they can afford a cell phone. And they're able to communicate all around the planet in many ways that they never have before. And it has been a great equalizer for a lot of people. I think that AI is on that scope of being incredibly important and having some massive practical uses, but also there's going to be some fallout, right? How many companies have gotten their asses handed to them because of the internet? Do you think that local stores are happy that Amazon has eaten their lunch? And has taken, no, how many jobs were lost, my friend? A lot. But then again, I'm going to keep using the Amazon here. How many people are driving for Amazon now? How many people are working in warehouses for it? So is it the same number of people? I don't know. Are the jobs the same? No, but we're adapting to this. Right. So it's causing a paradigm change and we're adapting. Another thing that's wonderful. Are you multilingual?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So AI, I only speak English and barely. AI is amazing when it comes to transcribing and translating, and I mean quite literally on the fly. Right, yeah. Think of how it helps facilitate communications between people and things like that, where you may be able to culturally understand something better just simply by running it against AI and it's quick.
But what I am confused with is, why are people so scared of that? Because I love how you brought in the Amazon example, because the Amazon example just elevated the market. It didn't really destroy it. It just
it did. It did change things, and many of them were for the negative. I mean, if you think about it, in an average town or whatever, there were stores like Circuit City, like CompUSA, like all these other big manufacturers, and they're gone. So there is a convenience factor, and yes, there are jobs. And like I said, it's not necessarily better or worse. It's a change. But in a town, you used to have more options available to you locally, so you could go walk in and and check things out. So that's not necessarily fun for the consumer. And then you have small businesses. Like as an example, I'm incredibly out of shape, but I was a runner, right?
Right.
And well, one thing is they have a running store where they sell a lot of shoes, running shoes, and or trainers for your type over there. But anyway, they would sell them, and so you would have help and say, how does it fit on your foot and things like that, right? Well, there are some despicable people out there who will sit there, go in the store, try it out, find the shoe they like, and they go buy it on Amazon for cheaper, which is despicable because that store, they have labor, they have overhead, things like that. Well, and a lot of those stores closed because of the internet ultimately. So again, it's a hard balance, and the only way people can survive is by finding their path or their specialty within this current paradigm and finding your path. I'll throw another weird one out there, but with automation, AI, things like that, essentially we're removing humanity from the question. Now, interestingly enough, birth rates in the United States, and I'm going to go always U.S. focused because I'm not as smart with Europe and other places. But so when I make generalizations, just everybody realize I'm U.S. perspective, and I know that doesn't necessarily apply to the world. But our birth rates are dropping like a rock. And unless we immigrate people, which we do, we don't have the birth rate. It's possible that AI will help bridge the gap with fewer people, if that makes sense.
It does.
Like you don't have the same labor force, but you don't need the same labor force. But another example that's kind of weird is this has been known for a while that AI and things like that were going to take over many, many professions, many, many jobs. Ironically, we may get back to something similar to the turn of the 20th century where they had a servant class. And I know that sounds really weird, but it is possible. Like, as an example, all these executives who work at Google or whatever, right, might have full-time nannies, full-time housekeepers, literally servants. So in a weird way, what's new is old and what's old is new. And we had that in the Industrial Revolution, right? You had these big, giant people, Rockefellers, whatever, and they had entire staffs at their houses. I'm not saying it's ideal, but I'm just saying that we may see changes like that we don't expect.
So what you're saying is that we might see the shoe shiners come back into fashion, like
Is AI going to shine shoes?
No, but shoes.
So there you go.
Yeah, and because the AI has taken up the menial tasks that can be done online. That's literally it.
Yes.
Yeah, until a robot can be made that is fully functioning human AI. I don't see. I see your point. I see your hypothesis. I see your theory in regards to us going back to civil service, because that's not automated yet. And I say yet because we don't know. We might invent a plumber.
It's possible, but even then, okay, the amount of variance involved with plumbing, just as that example. How many houses have you been to in businesses, right? Is their plumbing the same height off the floor, the same distance, the same anything? Is it the same materials? Is it No, there's a million variables, and especially what's established.
Right.
Now, where you were right in terms of if we change the way we architecturally design things and we build, say, modular homes, then yes, we could say every pipe goes down 3 feet, goes over this feet, and you could actually have a repeatable assembly line type of situation. So yes, maybe then in that case, the modular aspects could be replaced. But we have far too little of that because houses have been built and businesses have been built throughout history now. And there's a whole lot of legacy. So unless that all comes down and we get to all modular, all new, all modern, or whatever, you're always going to have a plumber. You're always going to have a carpenter. You're always going to have others to do things. Even cleaning can't be. Have you ever seen Roombas, the little robots?
No, I can't say that
Okay.
I have.
Well, Roomba is a little robot that you can run around your house to vacuum. It's like a robot vacuum cleaner. And there's such a neat idea in concept, but in reality, it's a giant pain in the ass if you have the wrong things. Like we have throw rugs. And a throw rug will just grind it up or throw it in circles. So we could never really have a Roomba here, even though we've always wanted one. And there's other factors like that, like even a robot lawnmower or, what have you. There are many things that it's too difficult or too much of a paradigm to even bother solving.
Right. So I'm guessing that's where you partially agree with your guest when he said that AI, that AI is that I forgot what did you say? When he said that AI was not that's the one. Never fear AI. I'm guessing that's where you partially agree with him. That's, So where do you disagree with him then? What do you?
I mean, he's a very strong cynic, and I don't think he sees a whole lot of value in AI at all. I see a ton of it. I use it. Okay. Yeah, his feelings are much stronger. I'd like to think that I'm nuanced. I don't know if I am or not, but I'd like to think I am.
Okay.
And I try to think of different angles, etc., because there's a lot of AI that is wonderful, and there's a lot that's horrible. And there are problems with AI, like hallucinations.
Oh,
and
how does that work?
Hallucination's a weird thing with AI. And have you ever done queries and it spits something back and you know that it's just wrong? Or you asked about one particular subject and then you ask about another subject and you see things from the first subject start to glean their way into the second subject. That happens. Other problems are like, for example, I do a lot of historical research, right? And I'll be like, hey, tell me, write an outline of this person's life. And they'll mention events that person never did. Why? Because it's the same name as another person and it's extrapolating this information. That's a problem. That's a huge problem. If you're trying to be accurate with your research, and the more that happens, it compounds on itself. Also, have you heard of GIGO? Garbage in, garbage out.
Okay.
Well, do you know what trained AI? The internet, and specifically things like Reddit. Now, tell me how reliable Reddit is. As somebody who's been through the Johnny Depp, Amber Heard thing, you tell me about Reddit and how well researched and thought out the Reddit posts are. Okay, so these are all examples of this, and keep in mind that Microsoft released several years back like a bot, right, that they were doing some sort of a chat bot, and they had to shut it down because like after 3 days it became a Nazi. So there's and so then now, okay, what happens? AI and these others, they put in controls, and you'll know that there are controls in there if you really pay attention, because I will ask for descriptions and then get little lectures from that saying, but you should be happy or and tonally trying to train me how to speak or think. And that's very irritating. So these are all problems.
I see what you mean. So Reddit, for full disclosure, Reddit is the reason why I did my deep dive into Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, because of how much untruths were out there. Now, I don't talk about politics. I don't like to talk about politics, but there is a channel that you do have called America's Untold Stories that is I would say, would I be right by saying that you are a conservative?
Probably. The channel is more MAGA oriented because Mark is especially strongly MAGA, which is very Trump oriented.
Okay. Well,
I'm what I like to refer to as a self-titled. It's my own party. It's called a lazy libertarian, and by that, I believe in many libertarian principles. I don't like a lot of government. The more government you have, the more problems you tend to have. However, I don't go to the degree of anarcho-capitalists and the like who get very angry that we have things like driver's licenses. I'm okay if we have driver's licenses, since I like to think that somebody's tied to the car or insurance, or other factors. So I like the principles, but I am not a purist, and that's like something that I'm a strong believer in. It actually goes back to mixed mental arts, because I picked up the way to describe it from Hunter Motz, and that's a fundamentalist. Okay. Now, a fundamentalist is somebody who absolutely believes in a particular thing, and there's no room for compromise. And this is from the left. It is from the right. I tend to think of it as up and down politics. So, as an explanation, have you heard of the U theory?
No, I haven't. What is that?
Okay, if you go to the very extreme left or the very extreme right, you will find that life under the leadership is the same damn thing. And what it is it's not really left or right, it's a U, and it's going up to authoritarianism. Oh. And by that I mean, do you think you would have a better time under Hitler, Stalin, Mao, or Mussolini? You choose.
I think
You get my point.
I get your point, but
they're all evil monsters, and there's the left and there's the right. But in the end,
you don't have
it's all totalitarian dictatorships.
Yeah. But like, this is where I'm guessing this is where the theory of all the conspiracy of shadow governments come into play, because is this what you're kind of referring to by saying that?
You're talking about the deep state. Okay. A lot of people.
I don't know anything about this, by the way. I'm not political at all. You're teaching me.
I mean, that's fine. The deep state is something that, the term is thrown about. You said shadow governments, it's thrown about. A lot of the deep state is, I'm not going to say innocuous, but it is a natural thing to occur. And you could apply it in many parts of your life, if that makes sense. Now, let me give you an example. When I was in the military.
Okay. Oh, thank you for your service. I mean, even though I'm not in another country, like
anyway,
I do respect the people that do serve in the military in some way.
Okay. Well, no problem. But okay, and I'm just going to use the Army example, and you can apply it a lot of places. Okay. In the Army, or this is also government too, by the way, but in the Army, you would have a command, and that's all broken up into little subcommands. And the person who was in charge would revolve in and out. So there would be, let's say you're talking about a company. A company can be, 100 to 500 people, a basic unit. It's broken down further, but you would have a captain who would come in. A person be promoted into the rank of captain. They'd take over that company, and they had a period of time they were there, usually about 2 years. Well, during that 2 years, they would do whatever they were going to do, blah, 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 and then they would move on. And this is at all levels, colonel, general, all the way down, right? Now, in these organizations, there's a parallel organization, if you will, and that's all the civilian employees. Now, I'm hoping I'm laying this out well, but as an example, I live in Virginia. I was stationed at Fort Story, and my wife was the Fort Story librarian. She was a librarian there for 18 years. And everybody else there, civilian-wise, they work literally decades. So what happens is you get somebody who comes in and they're put in charge. But they're only there for a certain amount of time. And then they're gone. Who do you think is actually making sure everything gets done? The people who've been there the whole time.
Yeah.
That's what the deep state is. So I will give you more on that. Okay, like whoever gets elected for president in the United States is going to appoint an attorney general. They're going to appoint a director to the FBI, right?
Right.
Well, that director of the FBI is going to have a tenure that is going to last a limited period. Like during that president's term, maybe a little beyond it, maybe not. You know, it all depends on how they get along politically. Most of the time, though, it's tied with the presidency. Fair enough? Then they leave. Well, what about all the deputy directors and all the other people who are careerists, who are putting in 30 years? They don't go anywhere. They're there. So you get the new boss. The boss comes in and says, blah, 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 blah. Well, who actually is supposed to implement it? All the people underneath. And what if they say, screw you? Yeah, I'll sum it up nicely because I was talking to somebody who, he was part of the staff of a governor of California. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about in the office, he was like, yeah, we want this, we want this, we want this, we want this. And the one of the people who worked there, had been working the State House for decades. And they said, yeah, whatever. You're weebies. No, sorry. They said, yep, well, go ahead and say what you want, but we're weebies. It's like, what the hell's a weebie? We be here when you're gone.
What's the point of we be here when you're gone? Fair enough. Eric, thank you so much thank you so much for this chat. Your new channel, I know. Have you heard of a channel called the White Files?
Yes.
Yeah, I love that channel, by the way. Like, I love that channel. And I think Proven Conspiracies is actually very close to that. I don't know why, but...
Similar, sure. I mean, yeah, it's in line.
Yeah, like, but I really, I would watch this. I would watch this. I think...
Well, then do watch it. Don't.
That's why I'm so proud. You finally made a channel that I would actually binge on.
Oh, I finally went.
Finally! I've been waiting for you to do this. Finally, he does it. I'm joking. Thank you so much.
I don't mind it at all. It takes years to come up with something that feels right, that's working, that is... I mean, there's so much of a Venn diagram and creativity to find that spot. It's incredibly difficult. So I'm not at all insulted. I'm thrilled to have something that I enjoy doing, and a lot of folks, I think, are enjoying watching.
Like Proven Conspiracies. Make sure you go check that out. Make sure you go check that out. Let me actually share one more time. The first video. Let me actually go into the video section and ask you a couple of questions. Actually,
sure.
The sugar industry. What is that about? So, what have you found out in regards to the sugar industry?
The majority of that video stems from the fact that the sugar industry paid off 3 Harvard researchers for a study to show that fat is the bad guy. See, there was a problem with heart attacks, high blood pressure, cholesterol, blah, 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 right? This is going all the way back in the 60s. Well, sugar is deadly to us if we have too much of it. Mm-hmm. And we have a lot of it. And the sugar industry paid off the doctors to make sure their findings were that fat is bad for you. Fat is the evil thing. Everything but sugar. Now, here's how this works. If you have a product that is low fat, how do you make it taste better?
Sugar.
Works well, doesn't it? And meanwhile, it covers up diabetes and all the horrible things and the obesity epidemic that is tied in with the sugar industry. So again, the conspiracies are not just government.
Yeah. I know, and I'm glad that you have that you have a channel that's nuanced enough to actually dive into that aspect that separates it from it being government. Finally, a channel. I'll keep saying it, but yeah. Last question, and I must ask this: every channel you make, you always hit 10K. You always hit 10K, 20K, and usually when I look at numbers, as they are good metrics, like views and subscribers. They're good metrics. But there are other metrics that you have to combine it with to tell a story about what you're trying to achieve. So whereas, how do you manage to still remain that consistent? Because that tells me that you have a very good team that understands the analytics. So they know how to create a formula that is robust enough to manage the chaos of creation. How do you find that sweet spot, that consistency to have a channel that is performing, even the conspiracy channel, it's growing at a rate that is it's enviable. I'm not gonna lie, I want to pick that brain and be like, yo, what are you doing that's making this channels grow at this rate?
Not everything I do necessarily, works well. There was a channel I actually did put together called Pod Streaming about a year ago, and it did not. You're not going to find it because I changed the name to Proven Conspiracies, and that one I think I only wound up with 130 subscribers. All told, I did about 6 videos, and it wasn't catching on, and I only have so much time to work on something. So not everything is going to necessarily take off or be good. On Laid Back News, for example, I was doing shorts for a while and trying to really do, shorts as a news channel. It not only didn't work, but it pissed a lot of people off. And I would drop a short and lose subscribers.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, great. So I backed off on them. Like, why am I killing myself doing this? When the legal panel I do every Friday is getting traffic and people enjoy that, why fight it? So then I changed the name of that to Laid Back Law.
Okay.
And that adds a consistency. So people, if you like that legal panel, it's Laid Back Law. It's a legal panel. So on Fridays and people, if they subscribe, that's exactly what they get. So I don't know if that makes sense in it, but there's always an adaptation and changing. Proven Conspiracies. I mean, I've been at this now. I started the podcast in 2018. Yeah. 6 years, dude. I'm not, in my 6th year, I start this thing, which I actually think Proven Conspiracies has the potential to be my largest channel, period.
I think it does. I think it, like I said, immediately, I think if I could analyze it, I think you hit everyone's pain points wherever they might be. You hit it to a point that you hit it to a point that what people, not just what people want, but what they desire or what they are yet to desire. You kind of you kind of have the established base, like for example, the Wi files that I just mentioned. It goes like there are people that may watch your America's Untold stories, but they may want to actually know more away from the political side. So
right.
are you making proven conspiracies? I mean, it was. I mean, like the one thing I learned from business school was the best way to be consistent and to grow is to find everyone's pain points and try to soothe it with your lotion, with your brand of lotion. That's what I learned. So yeah, like thank you, Eric. Thank you so much for having this conversation with me and for sitting down with me.
Sure.
And like we definitely have to catch up another time. Yeah, you heard me. Catch up, not catch up. Catch up another time.
Catch up with a C, not the K.
Or with a K, whichever one you prefer. Make sure you check out Eric Hunley's channels. I will link them all below. Jesus Christ, you have done ever so like yo. If I can just get the unintentional joke off like you have, I would say that is down to you, because I wouldn't have gone through my second channel if I didn't see how well you have managed to have grown 4, let alone 5 channels. And I have aspirations of bringing more channels in, but I just don't know how to navigate that properly. But yeah, anyway, thank you so much for sitting down with me, guys. Make sure you subscribe to Eric Hunley's channels.